This is Living Halal.
One thing that sticks out in my mind is that you actually do find a way to communicate with people even if they don't speak your language. So like once I was in the Haram in Mecca and I was waiting for the prayer, and this lady from Indonesia, she was trying to talk to me, and she knew like 3 words of English or something like that, but like we still managed to talk about where we were from and what we do, and she was telling me about her husband and her children, and I mean it took a while to be able to communicate, but like we were able to do those things. But like another thing is that you really learn. I don't want to say stereotype, but the characteristics of each nationality. So, for example, the Turks, I noticed that they're very gentle people. The Indonesians are very cheerful. Let's see, the Nigerians are kind of more on the tough side. They come in groups and they'll push their way through the groups. And you really just see people from all over the world, and you see their clothing, and you see how they act and how they interact with other people. And I mean, like sometimes you feel like you walked into a National Geographic magazine. It's so it's really amazing in that sense. And so, like I'm talking to my classmates, but I keep thinking about the people who I went on Hajj with. And I always want to talk about Hajj, with people, like even though I go to a public school, obviously, so the people are not Muslims. I had a classmate who was Muslim, so I kept talking to him about Hajj. He seemed pretty interested. And like even my non-Muslim friends, when they would ask me about how my vacation was, and I would talk to them about Hajj, and I just want to talk about it all the time. And I guess like part of it is because you want to remind yourself of how it was, and also because like you were so excited that you got to go. So I guess like overall, to some, is that it's just like really surreal when you go back. Me and my sister, he went to pray Fajr, and I think Fajr was very early, like around 4. But like if you wanted a good spot, you would have to go at least an hour early to go to the prayer, like if you actually wanted to pray inside the mosque. So we got up really early, and it was kind of cool, and there was a nice breeze, and we went to the roof of the Haram in Mecca, and it got really crowded. And then this guy had stood up, and he was wearing his ihram, and in Arabic, he was appealing to the people, and he was saying that he had lost his money. And at first, you see the Arabs get up first, since they're the ones who could understand him. And then I guess like the other people around had caught on to what happened. And so for about like 5 or 10 minutes straight, you could just see people giving him money. And I mean, for me, it was really touching, and I actually started to cry because like on the news all the time, you always hear about how bad Muslims can be. But like in that moment, you realize just how good, and not just Muslims can be, but like people in general. I mean, these people saw this man, and and he was crying. And I don't know if he's being honest because it's not uncommon for people to scam in that way. But I mean, assuming that he was, saying the truth, these people felt bad for him, and they tried to give him money. And even though like a lot of these people are actually poor themselves, they still tried to help him out, like even in the smallest way. I mean, it's just a reminder how human and I guess soft and gentle and merciful people can be. Oh, and in the end, Hajj is what you make of it, really, because a lot of people go at Hajj and they come back and they say stuff like, well, it really wasn't what people make it out to be. It's not as great. But, I mean, you have to put in the effort, and you're going to get out of it what you put into it, basically. And that's the advice that I have for people who are going.
This has been a presentation of livinghalal.com. All rights reserved.